Hello, friends of Wildfire. This is Darren Clable, the South Dakota State Fire Meteorologist. Today is Monday, March 14th, 2022, and I'll be talking a little bit about the evolving fire weather threat that we'll see across the state over the next couple of days. So, looking at our current ERC percentiles, this is for the fuel model Y. Of course, South Dakota, it's really variable. Across the prairies, 50th and below percentiles, north central parts of the state up in the Black Hills. You get out into the prairies, southwestern South Dakota, and you 70th percentile and higher, 80th percentile, and even Fort Pierce 90th percentile right now. So fuels conditions across the state are pretty variable, and that's been due to the variable precipitation. So here we have the past 30 days. Precipitation in a lot of the areas you can see, there's precip in places, but places adjacent to those don't have any precip at all. And so it's kind of tough to make a broad brush statement about fuels conditions across South Dakota right now. Some areas have seen moisture, other areas it's been really limited. So I think the fire danger obviously will be highest in the areas that haven't seen a lot of the moisture. But that being said, the areas that have seen it don't necessarily have snow cover as of right now. Here is the snow cover on March 11th, a few days ago, and we did have quite a bit of snow across, southern part of the state. Of course, there's been persistent snow cover across northeastern South Dakota, but most of that snow melted this last weekend. In fact, if we look at snow cover today, these are all clouds in here. There is a little bit of snow across kind of east central South Dakota, and of course northeastern South Dakota has snow. There was snow up in here this morning that has since melted, and of course we have a little bit of snow over the Black Hills, but most of the state is actually snow free right now. So we're kind of priming the fuels out there today, drying them out, and it's going to make them a little bit more susceptible to ignitions and wildfire spread over the next 48 hours. Here's our modeled snow depth, and again, really the areas you got to focus on are the northern Black Hills and northeastern South Dakota. I mean, really the rest of the state's pretty dry. So again, this is an evolving fire weather threat for Tuesday the 15th and Wednesday the 16th. So here are high temperatures expected on Tuesday. This comes from what's called the HRR model, the High Resolution Rapid Refresh. And I think these temperatures are going to be a little bit lower than what this map is actually representing. This is showing, 70s for a broad area of the state. I don't think we're going to get that high, but I definitely see, mid to upper 60s, maybe touching 70 degrees. So this might be a little bit high for temperatures tomorrow, but it's in the ballpark. Minimum RH tomorrow, these are values that are below 12%. Again, I think this is overdoing the dryness a little bit. I don't know what we'll get down to 10 or 12% RH, but I definitely think 15% RH for central and southern South Dakota is not out of the question. And look at these winds. These represent westerly to southwesterly winds. And that's, as we all know in South Dakota, when we get southwesterly winds, typically bumps up our fire threat because it is kind of a warming wind. Too. And so these barbs here, these double barbs represent 20 knot winds. These are all 20 knot winds. So 15 to 20 knot winds, pretty persistent across the entire state. And if we look at gusts, we're up in these pink to purple colors. These pink to purple colors are really suggesting that gusts are going to be in the order of 20 to maybe 30 miles per hour. There's places in the Black Hills and adjacent prairies, and this is at 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, Central Time. There are places in the prairies that might be gusting up closer to 40 miles an hour. So again, we have real warm conditions, really low RHs, and those strong southwesterly wind gusts. So tomorrow is going to be kind of a borderline critical fire weather day. Wouldn't surprise me if the Weather Service, might issue fire weather watch or looking at how things evolve into tomorrow morning. I do know that Nebraska, north central Nebraska, that area down there, they do have a fire weather watch in effect for tomorrow for that area. And it would not surprise me whatsoever if that bleeds over into the South Dakota Weather Service zones. And these are our probabilities exceeding the 90th percentile of the hot, dry, windy index. Again, hdwindex.org if you're interested. And, there are some pretty good probabilities that a big chunk of the state could exceed that 90th percentile. So we're getting close to one of the warmer, drier, windier March 15th, if you will, that we've seen historically. It's going to be a breezy day. It's going to be a warm day. But again, our fuels, it's not like we've been super dry for the past 3 or 4 weeks. There's been some moisture out there, which should kind of mitigate the overall threat, although those fuels are definitely drying today. Going into Wednesday, we're going to see kind of a little cool front come through. Temperatures are going to be in kind of the upper 50s across western South Dakota, extending into the maybe lower 60s across the eastern part of the state. Looking at our minimum humidity for tomorrow, we get a switch to west-northwest winds behind that front. And we do have RHs, especially across central South Dakota. If we look at these colors, they're down into that kind of 15 to 25% range. So, maybe I'll just say 20%, something like that. We're going to be close to those critical fire weather conditions once again. And if we look at maximum wind gusts, winds are going to be really strong kind of across the northwestern and north central parts of the state, with some gusts in northwestern South Dakota, up in that 45 mile per hour range. But if we look at where the strongest winds kind of combine with the lowest humidity, again, it's going to be kind of more in the central part of the state. And here are our HDW probabilities exceeding the 90th percentile. And again, that area that I've highlighted across north central South Dakota is definitely the area to focus on for fire weather conditions on Wednesday. Overall, this isn't a super big threat. It's not overly critical, but we're definitely seeing those higher sun angles as we get in the middle of March. Temperatures are going to be well above average. Our minimum RHs are going to be down in those critical levels, and of course the fuels on the landscape are completely cured. I think the one thing that's just going to be holding the next 48 hours back in terms of being a super bad day is just the fact that we have seen a little bit of snow cover, and the topsoil, the topsoil moisture is elevated a little bit from what it has been, but definitely we could see some bigger fires start up and move across the landscape if we do get some ignitions either tomorrow or Wednesday. Another note of caution is if we do get some fire starts, just be careful on where you're driving. We're getting into that goofy time of the year where if there are some low spots, some muddy spots, the frost is coming out of the ground. And you don't want to get yourself stuck. So have a safe couple of days ahead of you. And as always, feel free to give me a call or an email with any questions you might have. Thanks.